Yep, that's my new daily driver, but it's got one major problem. It needs a clutch really bad. So, gonna get the transmission out and we're gonna replace the clutch. Okay, the first step in getting our transmission out is gotta take these boots off and get this cover off here over the transmission. This will allow us to get the shifter out and kind of get all the linkages for the transfer case shifter all undone as well. And then we'll crawl under the truck, drop the transmission. Okay, now that I've got all the screws out from around these boots, now they just come up just like that. Sweet. And now we can get to our shifters and get this cover off. First thing I'm going to do is get the transmission shifter out. This is an NP435 transmission. I'm gonna put the transmission in neutral. Got the e-brake on, so truck shouldn't fall. To get these shifters out, you have to press down on this little collar thing here, push it down and rotate it about 1/8 of the way, and that will release the shifter and we can pull it out. There we go. So see that little collar there? It's got a spring under it. You just push it down and twist it to get it out from under that little hook there. Then the shifter comes out. Well, after looking at it, I decided that I don't really need to take that floor piece off over the top of the transmission. Everything else is going to be done under the truck. We're going to drain the fluid now. Okay, to drain this transmission, we've got a drain plug right here, and to fill it, there's a fill plug right up there. Now, when you're draining the transmission, always pull the fill plug out first. And the reason for this is, if you for some reason can't get that fill plug out, and you get the drain plug out and you drain all the fluid out, there's no way for you to put the correct amount of fluid back in the transmission, and then your vehicle is immobilized, and that could be a whole lot more work. So always open the fill plug first and then the drain plug. I mean, we're pulling the transmission out all the way anyway, going to be replacing seals and stuff, but this is just best practice. I got my adjustable wrench. I'm gonna get it up on there, on the fill plug, and loosen it. Oh yeah, there we go. And that is our fill plug. Okay, now for the drain plug, let's see how much fluid is still in this transmission. Oh, sorry for the terrible camera work. Thankfully, none of these are froze up in there. Ooh, yeah. I don't think that transmission fluid has been replaced in a while. It doesn't look super terrible, but it also does not look great. Oh, and these drain plugs usually have a magnet on them, and as you can see, it has collected quite a bit of extra stuff. So it is a good thing we are doing this. As it's draining, I'd just like to point out all of this drippage. That is a good indication that the seals on this transmission have seen better days. So I got new seals. They should be here tomorrow, and we'll be doing that once we drop the transmission as well. And I'd also like to point out, you see how there is grease and gunk flung up on the floor pan of the truck here. That's a pretty good indication that this output shaft seal is bad, and the transmission oil is coming out onto this joint here. That's why it's all greasy and gross, and then being flung up, well, and down, but up onto the floor pan. That's why you see a buildup up there. So probably all these seals are no good. I mean, look at the PTO cover over here. That's this cover right here, and it's just absolutely covered. And this oil, again, doesn't look awful, but it came out pretty dark and full of metal shavings. There is well, there should be a magnet at the bottom of this transmission that collects more metal shavings, and so we'll take a look at that. And once we get the top cover off the transmission to replace the seal up there, we'll see about how the inside of the transmission looks. It feels fine, so I think it'll be okay without overhauling it, but we'll find out. All right, next, while our transmission's draining, I'm gonna go ahead and unbolt this drive line here. This is what goes over to the transfer case. This is a divorced transfer case, so there's a drive line between the transfer case and the transmission. We're just gonna undo it right here at the transmission and move this out of the way. Should be pretty easy to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll see you when I'm done. All right, I got that drive line undone. Something I just realized though, I already took the shifter out of the transmission and I left the transmission in neutral. But to get this yoke off to replace this seal, we're gonna have to remove this nut. So I might replace the shifter, put it in gear, and then remove this nut before I remove the transmission, so I actually have something to pry against, since I don't have an impact. You could probably remove that with an impact on the bench, but don't have an impact. So, at least not a big enough one to do that. Another quick tip when doing drive lines, always put some masking tape or duct tape or something around these U-joints here, because underneath these caps are a bunch of little needle bearings. And if you accidentally slip that cap off, those needle bearings can go everywhere. Ask me how I know. Next, I'm going to go ahead and undo the linkage for the shifter for the transfer case. Then everything really should be ready to go. I'm going to be soaking the bolts for the cross member here that's holding the transmission up. The bolts that hold transmission to the bell housing are all covered in grease, so I'm going to assume they're not stuck, but who knows? We'll find out. I'm going to have some help tomorrow or the next day or so to get this transmission out, because doing it myself is, I don't know, just a little sketchy. So yeah, stay tuned.
Got the back yoke off the transmission. I also took this cover off because figured out that I needed to get the transmission out, since it's got to come back and then down. And I've got some help today. Wave. Oh yeah, we've got Mountain Gorilla 406 here helping. I appreciate it a lot. But anyway, got to remove this bolt to detach the transmission from the cross member, and then we got that bolt there and that bolt right there, and then this cross member should come out and we might be able to get the transmission out. Right under here. Right here? Yeah. We'll jack it up. We gotta jack it up enough to get this guy out of the way. Put a block in that. That's okay. I've got
What? Oh, hold up.
Yeah, it's like we need just a little bit more. Oh, yeah.
Trying to take it all the way out.
Yeah. Oh, sweet.
Okay. I got it.
Okay. Perfect. All right, now we're gonna have to come down just a bit and then back.
Down.
Yep.
How far? More?
Right.
Back.
Coming loose. I think we're gonna need to be a little bit more forward on the jet. Right there. Oh yeah. Can you pull back at all on the jet?
Yeah. Ooh.
Okay. Not quite clear. We need to come back just a bit more. Okay,
Clear.
so maybe we should have put a piece of wood.
Plywood down? Yeah. I was just thinking the same thing.
We'll do that when we put it back up.
Okay. Okay. Trying to move it back now. Okay.
I'm just gonna try and keep it balanced.
Okay. I think we might be able, because we're just lowering it straight down, right?
Yep, in the input shaft,
I see that.
might hit this, but just don't let it go over on yourself.
I'm gonna try and bring this jack back.
Watch yourself.
You good?
Yep, you good?
Yep.
Okay. Here's what I think we'll do. Do you think it's going to be easier to roll it this way or roll it that way?
This way.
Okay. Then why don't you get out of the way and I'll push it over that way?
Okay, let me have it.
Okay. Okay. Sweet. It's actually, it doesn't feel as heavy as I expected. Oh. Whew. Well, thank you for your help, sir.
You're welcome.
There it is. Transmission is out. Now it's off to clean and disassemble. Alright, so I got the transmission set up here, scraped off most of the gunk, but there's still quite a lot on there, as you can see. Taped off the top where the shifter goes in. Now, that's not probably the right way to do it. I also shoved a plastic bag down in there, just in case. But I've got the pressure washer hooked up and set up. I'm gonna go ahead and pressure wash this bad boy, see if I can't get most of that gunk off. I have been letting some degreaser soak on it as well. We're also going to pressure wash those pieces over there.
now I'm back working on the transmission for the F250. Got it here in the garage. Most of the gunk is off of it. It was originally red, but we're going to paint it black because, you know, that's the color of paint I bought. And so I'm going to go ahead start disassembling this. We're going to take top cover off, take a look inside, make sure everything's good. And then I also have the cross member and that pan that goes over this. Clean those up. We got the majority of the gunk off, but they still need a little bit of work. Probably take a wire brush to those and maybe some of the brake clean. Then we're going to set this all up. We're going to paint it so it'll look good. Okay, I got this top cover unbolted. Let's see what it looks like inside. We can get it open first. There we go. Okay. All right. Hey. Look at that. Wow. Okay, this transmission looks really good. Like, hardly any wear on any of these. Let's see. I don't see any problems. There's even paint marks here still. And that's usually when they build the transmission, put marks on there to see the wear patterns and stuff. Synchros look good. I can't see the friction part. See, there's more paint there. Can't see the friction part under these synchros, but wow. The inside looks really good. Like maybe this was replaced or rebuilt not too long ago. Leaks everywhere, but man. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and take this old gasket off, and I'm going to take this and the PTO cover off, and we'll take this rear housing part off too, and then we'll see. There should be a magnet in the bottom of this, and we'll see how much metal is on that. I'm surprised how clean this looks, especially how dirty that fluid came out. Also, another thing to notice is on these shift forks, there's these little plastic shoes that go on these shift forks, and they're still there, and they're still in decent condition. Oftentimes that's something that wears out, are these little plastic shoes, or they break and then go missing. But man, they look good. So that's probably why this transmission felt so good, shifted so easy and stuff. Okay, we've got this little number plate here that was right there, and it has a, I'm assuming that's a serial number up top, and then it has a date code 11/16/67, so that would make sense. This is the original transmission. And then 435, I'm assuming because it's an NP2 NP 435. Let's go ahead and crack this PTO cover open. Maybe if we can get something under here. There we go. Just need a little persuasion. Okay, inside of that is pretty clean, not too bad. A little bit of rust around the edge. It's not a big deal. And where's that magnet? No, this one actually doesn't have a magnet. Most of the time they got a magnet right here in the bottom, but this one doesn't have it. Maybe that was a later model year thing. Now, one of the drain plug, this guy, does have a magnet on it. It has quite a lot of metal shavings on it, but it's not too bad. So maybe they just put the metal shavings on the, or sorry, put the magnet on the drain plug instead on these ones. Okay, well, I'm gonna finish taking it apart, then we're going to clean it up more. Man, that looks nice. I'm super happy with this. This is the input shaft housing on the transmission. You can see this seal here. That is toast, so that's coming out. Here is the old seal. Here is the new one. Much better. See, that rubber spot is, it's supposed to be intact, not broken like this one. All right, I'm just gonna put this in here and press that down in there, and that seal's ready. Okay, the rear seal is right here. We're gonna pull that out, put the new one of that in too. Okay, again, old seal, and the wrong new seal. Well, I guess you need to go to the auto parts store. Okay, now we've got our transmission all prepped and clean. Just gonna mask off the areas I don't want painted, and then we're gonna shoot it with some paint. transmission is taped up, ready for some paint. Just going to be using this engine enamel from Rust-Oleum. It's supposed to be kind of more of a high temperature paint, and a little more resistant to oil and gasoline and that sort of thing. Is it? I have no idea, but I bought it anyway. Here we go. Let this dry, then I'm going to put on a second coat, maybe a third coat, but I think just two, and then we'll let it dry. Okay, now we've got our transmission painted and it's drying. It's mostly dry, but we're going to let it sit for the rest of today. We have some bolts to degrease. Here's our transmission, all shiny and black and painted. And we need to degrease some of these bolts before we put them back in. Now, I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, we're making the transmission look nice, so we might as well. I'm going to show you a really cool trick on how to degrease these with the ultrasonic cleaner. I've got my ultrasonic cleaner here set up. This is just a Harbor Freight one, and I've got some water in here. Now, I want to show you a cool tip with these ultrasonic cleaners. This is how I use mine, so I don't have to clean out all the gunk and stuff in here after I'm done cleaning stuff. Is you take a jar, I've got my degreaser in here, and you put, I'm gonna put our bolts in here. Alright, maybe this will fit too. Yep, that fits too, okay. Then we're gonna take our lid and put it back on here. Then I'm going to place this jar in the water in the ultrasonic cleaner, and the sound waves will go through the water into the degreaser, and it will clean the parts in this jar. Then all I have to do is clean the jar. The other thing is, if I want to use different cleaning solutions, depending on what I'm doing, I just put it in a jar instead of in here, and then I don't have to swap out the fluid, clean the ultrasonic cleaner, all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this up and turn it on. I'm not sure if you can see, but the degreaser's starting to get darker and it's kind of foaming up because of that the ultrasonic waves going in there, breaking up the grease on those bolts. So we'll let it complete its course. We'll pull the bolts out and see how they look. Okay, our cleaning cycle just finished, and our once purple degreaser is now very murky and dirty. Okay, well, here they are. I just pulled them out of the degreaser, wiped them off with a shop towel. They look pretty good. They're not perfect. They could probably go, if I wanted to make them perfect, I could probably do them one more time, one more cycle, but these don't have to be perfect. I just wanted them mostly clean. Now, even though this degreaser is pretty dirty now, it's still usable. So I'm going to use this same degreaser to degrease the rest of the bolts, and it should work just fine. I'll change it out if I have to. Okay, let's go ahead and pull some of this tape off. Don't mind the noise in the background. That's the ultrasonic cleaner going. Oh yeah. So now we are going to start putting the gaskets back on. I'm going to be using this gear oil gasket maker, as well as this gasket kit. Now, I went to one of our chain auto parts places here in town. They couldn't get this for me, but I went to the locally owned mom and pop shop here in town. They could. Go support your local mom and pop shops. They're awesome. Anyway, basically, I'm going to take this stuff, smear a nice even thin layer on the surface. I've already cleaned these surfaces. And then I'm going to take the gasket and smear one side of it with this. We'll kind of glue the gasket on with that stuff, and then put the plate on, bolt it down,
should be good to go. Shouldn't have any leaks. Should be good. Well, look what came a day early. My new clutch and pressure plate and throw-out bearing, the whole kit. This is the new clutch disc. Much more material on here than the old one over here. New throw-out bearing. Got our new pressure plate, which is a different style than the old one, and I'll show you that and explain that in a bit. And our new, what's that called? Pilot bearing. The bearing that goes in where the flywheel is. And different bushings and such for the bearing. And our clutch alignment tool. Gotta have that. Okay, so on the left here we've got our new pressure plate, and on the right there we've got our old one. Now you notice this one has a whole lot of fingers. That one only has 3. So this is an older style pressure plate. There's a lot of springs and such in there. Let's see if I can show that. There's springs in here. And these levers lever on those, and those springs hold the pressure plate up against the clutch disc and such. Now with this newer design, all these fingers basically are the spring, and they lever directly on the pressure plate. This is a newer design, and there's a lot of advantages to having it this way as compared to that one. This one you actually have to kind of adjust and such. This one you don't, and this one allows for an easier clutch pedal press and such, and more even and consistent, whereas this one can be a little inconsistent and can take a little more effort to push in the clutch. We're going to the new style because it's better in pretty much every way, and I think it was the same price, or it might have even been cheaper. So we're gonna go ahead and put this all in the truck. All right, I'm gonna try and work around the camera here and get the new clutch and flywheel on there. This isn't the lightest thing in the world, but it's also not too bad. Get that started in there. Oop. Now that we've got a couple bolts kind of holding everything up there, we're gonna take our alignment tool, stick it in our clutch, and then stick that in our pilot bearing. Oh, and it's really hard to work under here with this camera. Okay, there. Okay, so now our clutch alignment tool is in the splines of the clutch disc, and it's in the pilot bearing. I'm gonna put the rest of these bolts in. Now we're going to tighten them down. And you always want to tighten kind of in a star pattern, kind of like your wheels, so it's tightened evenly. Okay, we got our clutch disc and our flywheel all installed. All these bolts are tightened the way they're supposed to be, and we used our clutch alignment tool. Do not, I repeat, do not forget that step, because you'll try to put your transmission back in and it won't go in because your clutch disc will be out of alignment. So make sure you use this. I went ahead and cleaned up the bell housing, got it ready to go. The clutch is in the truck. We gotta reinstall this rubber boot. I just pulled it off to clean it so I could paint this and the clutch fork. And then we're going to install our new throwout bearing on the end of the clutch fork. So I cleaned this up a bit. It's still a bit grimy. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna clean that up the rest of the way, and then we'll install it. Okay, cleaned up a bit better. I'm not gonna clean this up perfect and paint it like I did the other parts, because I don't really care about this that much. This goes in the boot. Oh. It helps if you put it in the correct way. This is the wrong way. All right, just like that. And then this goes in here just like this. Just like that. Okay, now for our new throwout bearing. This is pretty simple. This is the bearing that contacts the fingers of the pressure plate. So your clutch fork goes right in here, presses on the pressure plate, deactivates your clutch. So this is pretty easy. These clips just clip on just like that. Now we got our new throwout bearing all installed. Okay, now I'm going to put this entire assembly back in the truck over the clutch and the flywheel and all that. And then we can put the transmission back in the truck. Yeah, okay. Okay, hopefully you can see this okay. But here's our clutch and our pressure plate, of course, already bolted up. Now I gotta get this bell housing up there. This is not the lightest thing in the world. Thankfully, though, there are some guide pins to get this on the right way and kind of hang it up there so I can bolt it back on. Just like that. All right, so you can see how that throwout bearing sits just on the fingers of that pressure plate. So when you push on your clutch, it pushes that throwout bearing that way, and it pushes on the fingers of that pressure plate and releases the clutch disc. Okay, so bolts, wrench. Here, let's get this. Yeah. Oh, stupid drive line's in the way. Oh.
Okay, let me reposition.
Ooh, you good?
Yep. You out the back?
Yeah, I have the back.
Okay.
So let's get it the right way around.
Okay. Oh. All right.
Okay, now I'm gonna need your help to.
I don't think that's gonna work, but okay. Okay, that
Okay.
did work.
Nice.
We're not centered, but it's on there.
Okay. Oh, I think that's too far, man. Because we got to be
I don't.
centered in this.
Well, yeah, we gotta be centered. This is going in here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's close, but that's got to go a little your way anyway. But we'll jack it up.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I know it's so hard because you look at it from two different angles and you're like, no, it's gotta go that way.
Oh, wait, hold up.
But you,
We still need to go your way more.
okay, I know it's coming my way because I'm watching the wheel cut the dust on the.
Yep.
Okay, want to try it here?
Yeah, no, there's fine. Yeah.
I do. Forward.
Yeah, forward a little bit. Okay, now up a little bit. And one more. Okay, now forward. Oh,
Too far?
oh, we went off the board.
Yes, sir.
So go up. Okay, right there. Can we move it forward?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll go up a little bit.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, this is the hard part.
Lining those gears up.
Yeah. Normally when you fill these transmissions, you pull the, there's a fill plug and there's a drain plug. You pull the fill plug out, you get your oil, and you put a pump in the bottle, pump it up into that fill plug till it starts seeping out. Now, since we just put this transmission in, we're going to do it the easy way. Now, this isn't the right way, but this is the way we're going to do it. I got a funnel in where the shifter goes, and we're just going to fill it in from there. So, without further ado, we'll just fill it till it starts seeping out that fill plug hole. I've got that unplugged. And then we should be good. And we're using our 80/90 gear oil for this transmission. And I believe this transmission takes about 6 quarts. So, gotta buy a couple gallons of the stuff. Alright, I'm gonna climb under, I'm gonna put that fill plug back in and then finish wrapping this up. There it is, all up in the truck. That was an absolute pain, but it's installed. Alright, now let's take a test drive. Let's see if this clutch works. If I didn't screw up the transmission. It lives. it works. We got the clutch and the transmission all installed, and the thing drives pretty good. But now driving it, I've found a couple other things. First off, let me show you the steering. So the steering on this truck, there is about that much play in the wheel before it actually starts turning. So especially at speed, that's a little sketchy, honestly. I've had vehicles with just like this much play, and that's not a big deal, but that's quite a lot. So I started poking around. I thought maybe it was the tie rods first. Tie rods look okay, but I figured out what it is. Okay, so this is the steering gear, and I want you to watch it while I turn the wheel. Yeah, you see that? You know, like this? Yeah, that's not normal. The steering gear is loose on the frame, so gotta fix that. The other thing is, this engine is running really good, and so I was surprised when I found this, but I was poking around here trying to look at the casting marks on the engine, trying to figure out some stuff, and I took the air cleaner off, was rubbing some grime off the carburetor, and saw this. Yeah, it's not supposed to do that. All of that will be in the next episode, so go ahead and check that out. Thank you for watching this one. Big thank you to Mountain Gorilla 406. Check out his channel. He has goats, but he helped me a lot with the transmission, getting it out and putting it back in. He's got some big muscles, and yeah, it was very helpful. So thank you to him, and yeah, go watch the next episode when it comes out. And I guess this is the end of the video.